So does that make this perhaps a relatively easy Golovkin defense because he's going against a smaller man, a welterweight, or a more difficult Golovkin defense because Brook is a skilled welterweight with welterweight type speed and an unbeaten record?
I think it can be difficult for Triple G because Cal Brook.
Come on, Bernard, you know better than
Know
that.
how to box, know how to use his jab, and use it effectively. He had one of the second or the first highest jab output in boxing, and to make history, you dare to be great.
Yeah.
He's jumping up 2 weight classes to make
Oh,
history.
yeah, that's a dare.
To me, Jim,
Well, props
he
to
should be
him.
commended for that, but a win is a win, and he must go in there with a game plan that can offset and also maybe frustrate Triple G to have a chance in this fight to win.
And of course, a lot of the when Dominic Ingle in Brook's corner chose to throw in the towel, were you as surprised as everyone at ringside by that?
No, he's not surprised. Just first of all, respect Cal. Cal, he's a good fighter. He's a huge fighter, and he's not middleweight.
He's not what? He's not middleweight. This is not his division. What'd he say?
Big enough or strong enough to give a good account of himself in the
Bernard, you know better. I learned that from you. You the one that was talking about these artificial middleweights back when you was the executioner, not this alien dude. This alien dude been getting millions per fight. But the executioner was giving gems out there.
Effectively, he actually won the second round in the eyes of some judges. And there were moments in the fight when he appeared to be competitive with you. Would you agree?
I think I lost all rounds. Maybe first round I beat him, and second round just knocked him down. And I feel it's finished. Maybe a couple rounds more, and that's it. Because I don't feel power.
He don't feel what?
He touched me, and I don't feel.
You did some.
He touched me, and I don't feel. Why is that?
Absolutely. I want first round. No, just able to tell me, just take your time, just not boxing, just praising him because he's broken.
Bernard, you have a question for Gennady?
Did you feel any threat in any round where you feel that you have to be cautious or careful once you felt his power? Did you respect his power to be able to be cautious walking in?
Yeah, but I don't feel his power. I feel his distance. He has great distance. He fielded me, and after the second round, I understand it is not boxing. I need street fight. Just broke him. That's it.
There was a sudden outbreak of speculation on the web, particularly in America yesterday, that you were sick, that you had an illness, that you didn't feel good at the weigh-in, that you looked pale, etc. Is any of that true?
No, it's not true. I feel great just because I'm not smiling. This is serious business. This is serious business. I know, I understand this business, and I understand my situation in middleweight division. I feel after the first round, he's not middleweight. And
He's not what?
1 to 10. How would you?
He's not what? He's not middleweight. And there you have it, folks. Like I tried to tell y'all, and Gennady said it best. I don't even have to say nothing. He said it. He told you. He being very blunt with you. After the first, second round, he's not middleweight. He said he touched me, but I ain't feel nothing. I learned after the first round, he's not a middleweight. The fighters know, bro. We can debate this thing until we blue in the face, but the fighters know. He was in there with an opponent. He muscled around with him a little bit. He felt his best shots. And at the end of the day, even though they were pretty good quality shots, and stun him, some of them stun him. Look, these guys, they take punches in the gym all day long. They're able to tell if a guy is supposed to be in the ring with them. And if a guy ain't supposed to be in the ring with them, you go ahead and you dispose of me and dispatch them boys, get them up out of there. And this is what it was, man. It wasn't the fact that Kell Brook wasn't a good fighter. He's a great fighter. We just saw what he did in the second round. He was coming after him. He probably did better against Golovkin than anybody Golovkin ever fought. So that ought to tell you the type of skill level and the mettle of this guy, Kell Brook. But at the end of the day, it was a welterweight fighting a middleweight. He did not belong in the ring with this guy, Triple G Golovkin, man. He just didn't belong in that. And you know what? Dominic Ingle stopped the fight. He threw in a towel. I think he did a great thing, man. I think he did a great thing. And with that throwing in of the towel, Kell Brook will go on to have a great and solid career He would get to continue his career at 54 like he said he was going to do. He's going to go ahead and he said he's going to take over the division. It's some monsters in that division. I would like to see him come to the States and finally fight the upper echelon guys, or bring him over there to fight him, bring him across the pond. That was an electric venue. The British fans are some of the greatest fans in the world. And, us in the YouTube world, the LDBC, we've been talking about this shit for years of how the UK has some of the best fans. And Canada has some of the best fans. And Germany have some of the best fans. Because they're loyal and they're supportive. And they come out in support of their fighters. So, y'all got a good star over there in Britain, man. Y'all need to go ahead and line up top-notch fighter after fighter and let this dude go in there and do that work. But at the end of the day, in this fight, I mean, look, bro, you can even tell by the size of these guys when they were in the ring. And even though Kell Brook looked pretty big in there, you can still tell that he is not a middleweight. He just not, And anyway, as far as the fight went, Kell Brook was doing what Kell Brook does. He was putting that piston-like jab out there, setting him up for big right hands, got the uppercuts in where he could. He didn't get on his bike as much as I thought he would. At least early he didn't. And, first round was a first round fill out. You expect that of a fighter this magnitude. They're really trying to figure out what's going on. Triple G wanting to feel his power. And Kell Brook trying to see what type of openers he could take advantage of. A second round came around. In fact, in the first round, Triple G buckled his ass with a hook. So I thought it was going to be over right there in round one. But like I said, man, you see what type of metal this guy got. He got his wits about himself. And in the second round, he was not going to be denied in round two because he was letting those hands go. And even though, as far as us watching it on TV, it looked like he was, doing some damage to Triple G, unlike what we've ever seen in a Triple G fight. Outside of the fight with Kasim Uma, Kasim fought him real well back in the gap too. Kasim fought his ass hard, fought him a great fight. In fact, I asked you guys to go and look at that fight. It was a good fight. And that wasn't even prime Kasim. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't even prime Kasim. But you know what Kasim come to do anyway. If you beat his ass, you beat his ass. But he gonna be there. He gonna be there to give you what you want. So, anyway, like he was letting his punches go. He was mixing it up. He wasn't just 1-2 all the time. Like I thought he would be. I thought he would be 1-2 and move. In fact, if he was 1-2 and move, he probably would have survived a little bit longer in this fight. But the bottom line is, even though Triple G looked sloppy in there, he was getting hit with shots. He was getting timed with shots. Still and so, Triple G, the shots he was hitting Kell Brook with were damaging this guy, man. Damaging him. That right cross to the body was just crippling this guy, Kell Brook, man. And around the fourth round or something like that, you really start seeing those shots soak in. And even when he was dipping and slipping and dipping on the rope, and he got himself together and he held on to the ropes, I was like, oh, that sign right there means my legs are not here anymore. And that's why Triple G was able to, close the distance on him and just start letting his hands go. Now, even though he wasn't landing every punch, the punches he was landing were doing damage, man. Doing damage on Kell Brook. And the writing was on the wall because had the fight go on another 1 or 2 rounds, you never know, it probably took a couple of years off of Kell Brook's fighting career. And he was just breaking him down, man. He was breaking him down. It wasn't the most skillful display of punishment on behalf of Triple G, but the punches he was landing were having a tremendous effect on a guy who did not belong in the ring with a guy that big. At least not on this night. Now, if I was Kell Brook, I'd get a rematch. I'll fight another guy in middleweight to continue getting acclimated with that weight, and I'll come right back and I'll fight him again. If you really want to prove it against this guy. But I think in round one, Kell Brook really saw that, he said at the weigh-in, he thought he saw fear in Triple G's eyes. I think after round one, he saw maybe he had a bad case of indigestion, a gas or some shit, because there wasn't no fear. I think Kell Brook finally felt that power, and he was like, oh, shit, man, this guy This guy can hit, man. And if I don't put something on his ass, he gonna devour me. So, I got to give him props by the way he fought. Triple G, maybe he was depleted at the weigh-in. They say it was nothing of the sort. He wasn't sick or anything like that. But we've never seen him look so sloppy in the ring before. Maybe it's because of the guy he was lined up across the ring with. But at the end of the day, man, that's another victory on behalf of Gennady Golovkin. And, and everybody knew it was going to happen. It was very entertaining. I wish it could have went on. We don't like fights that have endings like this. But at the end of the day, if you were Coach Engel, would you have let your fighter continue? Because at that point, when he was throwing in the towel, Brook wasn't moving nowhere else, man. He was up against that rope. He was slipping and dipping and trying to avoid the really, really big shots. But he was steady getting broke down, man. He was getting broke down, and I know them punches hurt. They hurt him, bro. You see, you can always tell with a fighter. You can tell by the body language. Reaching for that eye. You know what I'm saying? You can, you just know, dog. After watching this for so long, and the fighters can tell you, after so long, you can tell when a guy is just a matter of time. Just like Triple G said, man, I punch him and it's this fight, and it's not boxing's match. It's streets fight, and he's broke. He's broken. And even though he doesn't, I'm not trying to make fun of him. Even though his English probably isn't on par with American citizens, you get the gist of what he was saying. He was saying, I was giving him that work, and it was just a matter of time. If he stayed in there with him, it could have been a tragedy. And Triple G, I agree with you. We give him a lot of hell because, the guys that he's fighting, he's not fighting the upper echelon guys, guys in upper weight classes, the 68s. Or even some guys at 54, he knows who he wants to fight, but he's not fighting everybody who's available, which is fine. But when you're under the mystique of being avoided, that's where the problem comes in at. But I tell you what, I don't give a damn what we say about Triple G. That dude is something awful with them hands. And that's just the truth. He going to be hell for anybody that step in the ring with that boy. So, if he can continue making 60, go ahead and unify or fight Danny Jacobs. But what I really want to see, I think now is the best time for that boy Young Red to go ahead and go back up and weight and fight this boy Golovkin. Young Red, you got a fight coming up with Liam Smith. If Kell Brook can do that type of work to Triple G Golovkin and get him off his game, you being a much naturally bigger guy and skillful and much powerful because you're a bigger guy and you got big power for your weight, dog, you should be able to at least make it competitive for the 12. You know what I'm saying? You may even be the first guy to put that boy down. So Young Red, after you do what you do with Liam Smith, stop bullshitting and get in the ring with Triple G and let us have a fight we want to see, man. Don't prolong it. Who gives a damn who's a fucking A-side? If you put a number out there that can't refuse, I mean, you basically got to go Don King with the shit. You got to let them know, look, motherfucker, you ain't finna get this paper fighting nobody else. So, or do like De La Hoya said, you put the paper out there, it don't matter what I'm making, you not finna get this, and I know you ain't gonna turn it down. You know what I'm saying? You got to debo them boys at the negotiating table. In boxing history, we already know what it is. When you fought Sugar Ray Leonard, you took what he gave you. When you fought Mike Tyson, unless you was Holyfield or can bring something to the table, you took what he gave you. When you fought Roy Jones, you took what he gave you. When you fought Felix Trinidad, you took what he gave you. When you fought Fernando Vargas, you took what he gave you. You know what I'm saying? When you fought Mayweather, you took what he gave you. When you fought De La Hoya and Roy Jones, all of them, you took. When you fought Nassim Hamed, you took what he gave you. It ain't the same. I mean, it's the same sport, dog. Whoever is in the commanding seat as far as money, whoever represents a money fight, you got to do what you got to do so you can become the guy that becomes a marquee player in a money fight. And we already know as dominant as Triple G is, he's not that guy because the pay-per-view numbers ain't lying. The numbers ain't lying. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie in boxing. So it is what it is. British fans, continue to support your fighter. He's not a hoe, a bitch, or anything like that. You know us across the pond. We hard on fighters. We are. But at the end of the day, Kell Brook got my respect. He had it before this fight. But just taking this fight, when there's guys that's at 160 that won't even budge in terms of fighting Triple G, this dude I give him all the credit in the world for stepping up. And nobody should ever think he's ducking anybody. Nobody should. And I don't really think people thought he was ducking. I think because he's such a gifted athlete and such a tremendous fighter, us over here across the pond, we want to see Kell Brook. We want him to come fight in the States. You know what I'm saying? And yes, it's very, ballsy on our part. You know how we are. It is ballsy on our part to be like that. Come to the States, come to the States. That's what we say. But who gives a fuck? Bring our guys over there. Just fight the top guys that fight here. Dog, just like today, the fight was in the O2 Arena. We watched it. So, we don't have an objection. We just want to see this guy. And if this guy wants to be on American networks, which is more money, ain't like Sky TV ain't gonna broadcast the fight. He's still gonna get whatever money he gonna get in Britain, in UK. But why not bring it on a global scale? Fight the guys so that every network wanna see you, cause that will only add to your star power. You know what I'm saying? A la Ricky Hatton. He fought on Showtime for a long time, even though he was getting broadcasted over there. And you see, when he finally came across to the States, he brought droves with him. So if it's about money, it only benefits you if you do what you got to do to fight on American TV, even if you don't want to fight on American soil. So anyway, man, props to Kell Brook. It wasn't a special KO, and he didn't get a special ass whooping. So I'm going to have to eat those words. But at the end of the day, he didn't do enough to keep that monster, Triple G, off of him. At least not enough where Coach Ingle thought it was, sufficient to let him continue fighting. But it was just a matter of time. Triple G was putting them things on him. He wasn't landing everything, but the ones he was landing, it was just doing that. He just didn't belong. He's a welterweight, man. Junior middleweight at best, maybe in a couple of fights or so. Go back and get your rematch if Triple G is still fighting at that weight and give it another go. But that's it. I'm out of here.